Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. We do have quorum. John Cooley told me he couldn't make it today because he had a surprise meeting that he had to go to in New York. So we have I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us here. And Anna is almost a member. She's on the docket for the select board to approve her candidacy. I think the next time they meet, maybe on the 10th of October, coming up really soon. So we're excited about that. And we also have another candidate, Linda, who hopefully we can advance a little bit more tonight. But I guess before I get going with all of our business, I guess I should say the meeting is officially started as of perhaps it was 7:03 when I began talking. So the meeting is officially started. It's the October 4th meeting of WCAC. So thanks everyone for joining.
And Susan, you need to take a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call vote. Let's see. Nicole.
Here.
Great. Barbara.
Yes, here.
Great. Anne Sussman. And can you come off mute and let us know that you're there?
Here.
Great. Thank you so much. Awesome. And obviously I am here, Susan. Cool. All right. So let's see. Why don't I share our agenda? This is going to be, I would say, a housekeeping meeting to a certain extent. But I think we can get a lot of great stuff done and hopefully not have it be a super long meeting. So that will be helpful for all of us, I think. We are going to be hearing from a developer next time we meet, and that's going to be in November. So let's see if I can get the correct tab here. Oh, yes, here we go. All right, so this is our agenda. In terms of approving minutes from the prior meeting, I think that Nicole is still working on those. I don't know, Nicole, do you want to give us an update on where those stand?
They stand on that I need to create them.
I totally get that.
I sent you an email. I've had to do a lot with my mother who has Alzheimer's, and I didn't anticipate the work that I've had to do this past month.
Totally understandable. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll be there. Hopefully there's a recording up at this point of our last month's meeting, and that can help you out a lot. And if you want to just put a draft together and then circulate it around to us, we have to give you feedback individually over email, but that might help build out the details of what happened. Great. Okay. I just want to remind everyone that we're going to be doing, well, I think, yeah, we should keep doing our raising hand for turn taking just to get in practice of that. I think it's really important that we have good, give each other good space to make our remarks and are respectful to each other and any guests we might have and any of the public. So let's keep on doing that. Raise our hands if we have anything to say. Let's go to the membership topic. We, as I mentioned, are hoping that Anna crosses the finish line to be a member in time for our November 1st meeting. And I would love to, I guess, reintroduce Linda, who's on the line tonight, joining as a member of the public, but as a hopeful to join the committee. And I was hoping that since we do have quorum, we might be able to vote on advancing Linda's candidacy to the planning board. And then of course, the next step after that is the select board. But Linda, if you would be able to come off mute and just again, like remind us of your interest in the committee and give us a bit of a bio on yourself so that we can get to know you better.
I'm sure. Can you guys hear me? Sorry, I
yes.
have kids. A husband that's not home tonight. So we live obviously in West Concord. We've lived here for about 8 years. And as I mentioned earlier, I think on our last meeting, it was very important for me to be close to a town center. That's kind of, a close-knit community is really important to me. And because we're walking distance to the town center, we really take advantage of it quite a bit. Our kids go to the Thoreau School. We're constantly walking to ride out into all the area businesses, which we really, try to frequent. A local thriving community is something that I think is really important to raising my family. And I'm really excited to be part of this committee to, make sure that it retains the character and the kind of community values I think that we all, that drew us here in the first place. Did you want me to comment on anything else, or is that sufficient?
I think that's probably sufficient. Does anyone else on the committee have questions for Linda? Maybe do you want to say where you live within West Concord?
Yeah, we live at 20 Damon Street. So I grew up on a cul-de-sac, not in Massachusetts, but it kind of behaves like a cul-de-sac, even though it isn't one. So kind of further reinforcing the homes are really close to each other as well. So it really kind of reinforces that kind of community, neighborly feel. So we're all really happy to be living here. My business is marketing. I have my own marketing consultancy, strategic marketing for consumer products. I worked at Gillette and Clorox, so some of the big consumer brands. Both my husband and I work out of our home. Another reason why having a community like West Concord is super important to us.
Yep. Great. Awesome. All right. So do any of the other committee members have questions for Linda before we take a vote on her candidacy? All right. So I guess I don't have to do a roll call again, do I, Elizabeth? Because I did that at the beginning. We can just have the vote for Linda. Does that meet the standards?
Because you're by Zoom, any vote you take has to be by roll call.
Got it. Okay. Thanks for that. All right. So let's see. Can someone say they're present and also vote at the same time?
Sorry. That's so rude. So this is just to make a recommendation to the planning board that they be appointed. Yeah, so somebody would just move that, somebody's gonna second, and then you would just call a roll call vote.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. So I move that we advance Linda forward to the planning board to join the WCAC.
I second.
Great. So let's see. Do we have to all go back through again and do this? Well, okay. So I'll say I vote yes for Linda to go forward to the planning board. Nicole.
I second.
Oh, you just have to say yes, Nicole.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. Anne.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And Barbara.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So that was unanimously passed, and we will forward Linda on to the planning board. Great. I should mention, I didn't designate anyone to take minutes at the beginning of this meeting. I know it's being recorded. I think it's going to be a pretty simple meeting, so I will put the minutes together. They're not going to be long and super detailed as I usually do them. They'll just be like, 1 page or less of the high points that we hit tonight. So I will volunteer to do that. Excellent. Okay, so we have these different initiatives that we as a committee are following, and some of these I think we've had lots of updates on. Some of them we might need to kind of circle back and see what's happening with each one of these. But I wanted to go through and talk about what we know or don't know about these items, and also make sure that the committee is still invested in tracking these. And I think going forward, I'm going to work with Elizabeth to spruce up our webpage on the town website so that perhaps these initiatives can be listed there and they don't always need to be on our agenda. We can certainly discuss, a couple of them or something like that, but we don't need to have them always on our agenda every time. That's my sort of idea about keeping these current, but not misleading anyone in the public that we're going to be covering each one of these every single time. I don't know, Elizabeth, does that sound like a decent idea to you in terms of how we remain focused on these things, but don't necessarily make people feel like we're going to discuss them in depth every time we meet?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, so let's see. First thing on this initiative tracker is...
Sorry, Six, can I just ask a general question?
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't clear, like this committee, like the developer who spoke last time or the one in November, does this committee have to approve these things before they can then advance to the planning board, or do we just have kind of like a consultative, role in this? I'm sorry if I don't know that, but I apologize. I just want to clarify for my own
No,
knowledge.
that's a great question. I think Elizabeth can probably characterize it the best, but I will also pull up the documentation that shows what our charge is, because that really helps lay it out in the most detail. But Elizabeth, do you have any comments on that?
So the West Concord Advisory Committee is very specifically an advisory committee to the planning board for development proposals that come before the planning board. And the idea is that the West Concord Advisory Committee is usually generally is made up of people in West Concord, has a little bit more, I'm going to say has their, pulse on what's happening in the village, in the community. And so that, I believe, was the reasons for this advisory committee to be created, a while ago. But it really is as a subcommittee to the planning board in their role for reviewing projects, reviewing studies that the planning board may take on. There is the West Concord Master Plan, and then just as you have the bullets, encourage public awareness of projects and initiatives in West Concord, and inform the planning board. While it doesn't happen often, land that may come up or different things. So it is a pretty focused role, but it is only advisory.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So yeah, this, I guess the charge of the committee, many of the town committees have charges like this, and this is ours. So it might behoove all of us to read through this, once in a while. I was reading through it a bit before the meeting, just because I wanted to remind myself about our responsibilities. But yeah, so I would say the process I've seen with developers coming before our committee and then moving on to planning board and ZBA is that we try to air out a lot of the very particular to West Concord issues when the developers appear in front of us, and really bring that like laser focus on how a particular development is going to impact West Concord Junction and the surrounding area. Because the planning board, they have to oversee all of Concord, and they might not know the nitty gritty of how the traffic flows, or what happens at certain times of day, or where accidents tend to occur, where we need better crosswalks, et cetera. So we want to always raise those issues to make sure West Concord is represented. All right, so let's see. Moving back to the agenda, which I think is right here. Yes, it is. All right, so Junction Park affordable housing. This was a parcel of land that was slated for, I believe it was a senior living development, and that sort of evaporated in, I don't know, late 2022. And I think the parcel of land is still kind of open for development to be considered. We had heard a couple months ago from a couple of individuals who were thinking of building, I think it was some three-story multifamily homes in that general area where the Junction Park housing was going to be. I'm not sure, does anyone on the committee have a better update than what I just kind of stuttered out there? I haven't been tracking this too closely.
I think first off, we should make sure it's not Junction Park, it's Junction Village. Because
Okay.
Junction Park is the small park area near the club.
Okay.
Cafe.
Yep.
My understanding is that CHGC is still moving along, and that there may be a proposal being put forward sooner rather than later. Elizabeth, have you heard anything more than that?
I have not heard anything more than that.
Okay. So,
Okay.
so progress being made, but nothing specific at this point. The challenge with that piece of land, if you want to think of it this way, is that whatever gets proposed must be 100% affordable.
Okay.
And it can be affordable at many different levels. It doesn't have to be only at 30 or 50 or 80%, but it must be 100% affordable.
Okay. And that parcel of land, as I recall, is kind of adjacent to the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail and possibly the prison. Is that right in terms of where that's positioned?
It's at the if you go down Winthrop Street, which is a little short street, parking among other things for Neshoba Brook. It is over the rail trail, initially about 12 acres back there. It was land that was owned by the state at one point in time, and the state essentially sold it for, I think it might have been $1, to Concord Housing Development Corporation about 11 or 12 years ago.
Okay.
And the stipulation that it must be 100% affordable and open space is part of the agreement when the land was transferred.
Okay. All right. Great to get that update. Thank you so much. Thanks for that synopsis. That was wonderful. Okay, so moving on to complete streets, we can all see that lots of paving and sidewalk construction has been happening in the village. I have not spoken to Public Works recently, so I don't have an update from them, but is there anyone who's sort of boots on the ground who wants to give any comments on what they're seeing or how everything's coming along?
Well, I can just say that it's amazing. We now have 12-foot wide sidewalks. And I asked Public Works, are they really 12-foot wide on the side of Commonwealth Ave, opposite Deborah's? They're now 12 feet wide. And he took out a measuring tape. They are 12 feet wide and they're so much easier to walk on. It's really fantastic. They're doing an excellent job. They're really doing an excellent job. There is some concern about things being ready for October 21st. That's Discover West Concord Day. And because everybody's going to have a party. We're going to have openings at Artscape and at Fowler Library. It's going to be a big day. There's some concern about that, but I think it'll be okay. Most of the sidewalks, a lot of sidewalks on one side of the street will be done by then. It's been really amazing. It's going to be an incredible boon for the businesses.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. Great. All right, so then we'll move on to Kenneth Dunn Square improvements. Kenneth Dunn Square is that little triangular piece of land that kind of sits between Commonwealth Ave and Lawsbrook. And it has some challenges in terms of availability of crosswalks to get to it and from it as you're kind of going towards Lawsbrook. And it has some traffic challenges as well. I don't have any update besides the fact that I know Public Works submitted a grant application to the state of Massachusetts to get help with refurbishing that intersection a bit to improve the pedestrian and vehicle experience.
Yeah, I think what we really need to look at is the speed limit signage, because right now where the speed limits are posted, it actually is 20 miles per hour on Commonwealth Ave in the Junction Cultural District, but people don't know it because they don't see the signs and the signs aren't in the right place. And there's now actually a science for signage that I can show you actually. There's software you can use to see if people will see your sign.
Very cool. We should definitely look at that.
It's pretty cool, but it's really amazing. So my husband has an office. He has 28 employees in his business at the Bradford Mill. He goes there, I'd say, every other day. And he did not know that the speed limit was 20 miles per hour, even though he lives a mile from there and that's where he works. It's just the speed limits aren't in the right place. And I think for our complete streets, we need to really, that's something we can look at maybe in November or December. Where are the signs going to go so people can see them? A lot of the signs have been taken down. So right now the Bradford Street sign has been completely removed. There's no Bradford Street sign because they're rebuilding the sidewalk. They had to take it down. So where are we going to put the signs up? Will people see them? I think we really need to review it. We should ask that Alan Cathcart, Aaron McCluskey was great. We should just ask to look at that because it's something I do see every day. And where they were in the past didn't work because they were put up before you were a Junction Cultural District. So it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I was under the impression that the select board has to approve where we put signs. Is that the case for speed limit signs, or am I just completely misremembering that from past conversations?
That is a function of Concord Public Works.
Okay.
So I
right.
think we should work with Concord Public Works. They're really great to work with. They're really
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And I think they'd help us. And I think we really do care about it. And also it is different. Being a cultural district is different. We've only been a cultural district for 6 years, right? The signs, we need to figure out where we're putting them now. There's going to be a lot more people coming in, a ton more on bikes because of, you know, the Route 2 bridge open now, because of the Sudbury rail trail being open, you know, pretty soon. So we really need to look at that. I'm very concerned about that. As you know, there were 1,813 car crashes, more than that between 2017 and 2022. You're very concerned about that. You know what I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I mean, that sounds like a great opportunity. If the signs have been taken up because of the construction work, maybe we have the opportunity to suggest.
I think it'd be a
better
great thing to do in November, just to run it by them. And also, we're still waiting. I did contact Aaron McCluskey, because we're still waiting for the cultural district signs for the rail trail. Apparently, they were ordered.
Okay.
But they haven't come in yet. And so they've already decided where to put them, and we agreed on it, but we need the rail trail people to know there's a cultural district here. Right now, our cultural district signs are only really designed for cars. And we need to adjust that for bikes and pedestrians on the rail trail. So I think that's also something that I did send him an email about that. And I know he'll get back to me.
Okay.
So for the agenda for next month.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move that forward for next month. Elizabeth, you have your hand up.
So I question why this committee is moving that forward, and that's a responsibility of the cultural district. And that's something.
Well, because we actually, Elizabeth, just so you know, we were the ones who worked with Aaron directly to figure out the signage. I was on the cultural district before, and we worked with Aaron directly to figure out where the 4 signs were. And this was kind of like the 2 detritus from that project. There are 2 small signs that were ordered.
No,
so
I understand the signs, but that is a project for the cultural district.
Right. Well, but they know that, and they've already approved it. It's already been all approved. We're just waiting for the signs. And the signs have been ordered. I can send you the emails. The signs have been ordered already 2 months ago.
I understand that. What I'm trying to get is that this committee, that's not this committee's focus.
But well, believe it or not, I helped. We took it on.
So yeah, so I think, and what we can do is we can liaise with the cultural district committee.
Let's liaise with them
and figure out how to get those signs up.
We've already worked it out with them, and we've been liaising. Now Kate Yoder left, but we were always connecting with her. She's no longer on that cultural district.
Well,
all right. So I think, so your point is, Elizabeth, that's usually in their lane, and we should make sure we respect that, that's work that they can be taking on as opposed to us taking it on.
I just don't need.
But we were just finishing it.
Let me finish, please. We don't need 2 committees or people from different 2 committees contacting the highway superintendent who knows what he needs to do. And so if that is their charge and their wheelhouse, then they should be taking that on.
Yeah, but what you don't understand, we've already done it. It's already been done. And Aaron's already ordered it and already been dealing with me. And I'm the one who picked it's what happened. I came from the cultural district to the West WCAC. It's what happened. It's already done.
Yeah. We'll sort it out and make sure that those signs get to the right place and the right folks handle them. I see Sue. Sue, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Stu Felshen, 19 Sunnyside Lane, a member of the planning board, no longer your liaison. I was going to reinforce what Elizabeth said. I understand, Anne, but you're no longer on the Cultural Junction Village.
No, but you don't understand. I know I'm no longer on it, but we already worked it through with them, and we already worked together to figure out where the signs are going to be. It's already been done. And they've already been ordered. I'm going to mute
you for a sec because I think there's something going wrong and we need to hear what Sue is saying and I can't hear it.
What I suggest that you do is, rather than liaising as such, send the West Concord Cultural District Committee a note saying, hi, just letting you know that we would like you to follow up on this. Some members of our committee were formerly working on this, but are now on a different committee. So we want to make sure it doesn't drop off your radar screen. That would give you an opportunity to pass this information along as necessary, but you would not be doing another committee's work. Thanks. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay.
I totally hear you, but just so you know, it's already been done. It's already ordered. It's all done. And I will definitely link them in.
That's perfect. I guess I want to backtrack on one thing, because I guess I was under the impression that we were talking also about possibly speed limit signs that we have an opportunity to place differently now that the work is done on or is going to be done on complete streets. Is that something that the cultural district also should be working on, or is it because these signs Anne was talking about are for the cultural district, they're in their wheelhouse, but speed limit signs are something that we can work on with Public Works?
So for speed limit signs, there's certain requirements under AASHTO standards and sight distance standards and placements to crosswalks, intersections, roadways. Really, all this committee could do is provide input to Concord Public Works, saying, we've noticed these are down, and we're interested in where they're going to be placed, and but it would not be this committee or any committee that says we want the speed limit sign here, because they have certain standards that they are required to meet. So I think if there's a suggestion or a question, that is definitely within any board committee persons to ask, but they will have to follow their AASHTO standards on where those speed limit signs have to be placed. Okay, that's great to know, and I think it would be helpful for us to provide them a recommendation based on what we see, and if they can take that into consideration, that would be wonderful, knowing that they also have their standards they have to comply with.
And I think, and having worked with them, I think they'd love what our thoughts are, because we use it every day and we see it. Yeah, I think we should definitely weigh in. There's no reason not to. Okay, so let's talk about beyond complete streets. I think maybe that would be a good appropriate topic for after the complete streets work is done. But also, I did notice that the Transportation Advisory Committee is having a public hearing about, I believe, a study that they're doing about transportation in Concord. And I was going to encourage folks to go to that so we can learn more about their study, their survey, and weigh in with our own concerns on transportation in West Concord. Elizabeth, I'm sorry, did you have something that you wanted to mention about that? Yeah, so the town has embarked on a townwide transportation and mobility study, and the October 17th kickoff event, it's more of an open house. The consultant will have different stations up where people can go to different stations and ask questions, and different topics, transportation mobility, related, and provide feedback. And there will be a survey being launched, and this is the start of probably a year-long process to develop this plan. So, but it is a drop-in event, and let me see if I can. There's so many events going on that I'm getting them all confused. I started making a list of them. So let me see if I put it. Oh yeah, I put it on here. October 17th, 6:30 to 8:30. I found this on the town website, and I can certainly send you all this document where I started aggregating all these opportunities to be involved. But I feel like, why not? It'll help us get better in tune with what other committees are doing on topics that we really care about. Yeah, so it's at the Harvey Wheeler Community Center from 6:30 to 8:30, and it is just awesome. A drop in, and let me see, the developing a townwide comprehensive transportation plan to, 1, identify actionable transportation improvements, 2,
adopt a framework to guide future investments, and 3, develop specific Concord design standards and policies. So I really would encourage everybody to just pop in and, talk to the consultants, and then there will be a survey that's online and posted everywhere and sent out to everyone. And so.
Awesome. That is definitely something that we should try to get over to and make our voice heard. Okay, let's see. We already talked about signage for the cultural district. If it's in the purview of the other committee, then we'll take it off of this list. But Ann and I will definitely make sure that's all tied up in a neat bow as we hand it off. The painted crosswalk concept. This is a very cool idea about making our pedestrian crosswalks more colorful, more appealing, more noticeable for vehicles. And I think we had decided that with complete streets happening in the village, we needed to kind of like back off on this idea and revisit it with Public Works after the complete streets work was done. Sue, your hand's up.
Yes, but only to suggest that you change it to back burner 10/3/2022, because otherwise it looks like it was.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right, so we'll take it off of back burner status because I think it's something that is more prescient now for Public Works. We can probably get in touch with them about the speed limit signs and this crosswalk concept at the same time.
I
Okay.
think that's a really good idea. I just want to say that I was just at Greenbuild International in Washington, D.C., and there were so many companies doing this new kind of non-pervious crosswalk paint that's reflective, that lasts for 5 years. I mean, it's really a growing thing to encourage walkability. It's really, and I did get a contact, and also it's just really interesting what's happening. So it's becoming much more common.
I love hearing that. That's great. Okay, so 13B Commonwealth Ave, that is that triangular parcel of land, kind of like in front of, I guess, in front of the Cottager Soap and adjacent to Reasons to be Cheerful. It's just like a grassy plot in the middle of the village right now. And I honestly don't have any sort of update on what is going on with that development. Does anyone else on the committee, has anyone else heard anything about it?
Well, I talked to the developer about 6 months ago, and so I don't have anything I'm more recent than that. But what he did tell me was that he couldn't make the numbers work with supply chain issues, with interest rate issues, that he had to that he couldn't get the spreadsheets to work anymore. But I think the project, I don't know, I think he's still planning to do it. But again, I think we saw a later version. Remember, we approved the most recent version that was like doubling the number of units or something, and we thought it was great. But I think it could be appropriate to ask the planning board, or whoever is the appropriate people, to find out, to reach out to him. I know he would willingly come back to talk to us.
Yeah. I guess so. Elizabeth, do you have any insight on what's going on there, or we can always just email the developer and ask as well?
No, I can tell you, I've spoken to Patrick Cleary. I'm going to say probably within the last 4 months. The interest rates have gone up twice since then. So I don't see anything happening in the foreseeable future.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
Do you think we should reach out to him though and say if he does he have a plan for 2024, an email, or just?
I'll reach out by email. I have his email from other kind of like back and forth with him, and I'll just shoot him a very casual email to say, is there any update that you can have us convey to the committee? He doesn't have to come present to us if nothing's happening. Doesn't need to come present, but it would just be kind of good to know where he stands on it.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to Giroux, Bruce Fruman Rail Trail Extension, and we don't need to talk about the wayfinding signage because we did already talk about that, but I was personally over to Giroux and saw that it seems like things are in progress over there, but I'm not sure if construction has restarted. The rail trail extension has obviously gone into place, and I was able to cross over the bridge over Route 2, et cetera. Does anyone else have any other updates about what's going on over at Giroux? I know, Anna, you might live over there. Do you have any, well, so Anna's a member of the public, sorry. But does anyone on the committee right now have any input on it?
So I can tell you the contractor is back to finishing up the project. So they're in the process of finishing up.
Oh, awesome. Do they expect to be finished, do you think, like during this calendar year? Do you have any sense for their timeline?
I'm not entirely sure what the timeline is. I do know the most critical piece was getting the final as-built for the septic system. So
Okay.
that had to be signed off. But you know, as everybody knows, our facilities director Ryan Orr also left, so there's just been kind of some turnover in different positions. But I do know that it is progressing towards being finished.
Great. Okay. The future Assabet River Bridge, I think I saw this crop up again in respect to the proposed Novo development that's on sort of the Baker Ave parcel there. I'm not sure if there's anything new happening with it. Did the town recently apply for another grant or something related to getting that bridge built?
So I can tell you, anything as far as the construction of the actual bridge will never be tied to the Novo Riverside Commons project, because the Assabet River Bridge and Trail project has been accepted onto the state's transportation improvement program as in their world of projects. It has not been programmed for an actual funding year until we get to beyond 25% design, but it has been placed in the tip for federal state funding for construction from $8 to $10 million. There are a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions when it comes to federal and state funding, and putting the cart before the horse with any private project is one of those things that can jeopardize that funding. So, the developer for the Novo project is advancing their projects faster than the bridge, and they are voluntarily including in their project and their development a connection from the bridge out to Baker Ave. But that is a voluntarily included portion for their project. As far as the actual bridge, we just submitted a grant to a federal grant program, Reconnecting Communities grant pilot program. The grant we submitted was for $400,000. We also put in for 200,000, I get the two mixed up, $200,000 or $250,000 in CPA funds. And then in a couple of months, we'll be applying once again for Mass Trails funding for a total of $850,000. That is what it will take to get to full construction drawings, specification, and estimates that meet Mass DOT standards, so that the project can remain on the Transportation Improvement Program and is eligible for that $8 to $10 million in construction funding. So if everything goes, as planned, and kind of don't want to say it too much out loud, because you know what God does when he hears people make plans, but we would be looking at, probably, if all permitting and construction and funding does go into place, possibly breaking ground in the summer of 2026.
Okay. Great to know. when you say that the developer would provide a connection, what does that mean? Does that mean like a shuttle bus to get
No,
from
no,
there?
if you look on their plans,
Mhm.
from one portion, right, kind of near towards the Assabet River, there is a 10-foot wide, path that
Okay.
goes around the buildings, and then back out to Baker Ave. It is their intention to build that, pathway to Mass DOT standards and have that, be, open to the public with a public access easement for, bike and pedestrians.
Got it. Okay. But it wouldn't actually be a way to get, like, kind of take a shortcut to get over to West Concord Junction. It's more a
Yeah.
path that
No,
it would be.
you would go from Baker Ave,
Mhm.
around the two buildings, across the bridge, over to, West Concord Village and the commuter rail station.
In the future when the bridge is built, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they're doing the path part on the land that they can influence, and then it would
Correct.
connect up to the bridge. Great. Okay. Great. And finally, the ENS gas station is the 166 Com Ave development that we'll be hearing about on November 1. I think Elizabeth is saying that the developer has created some new and different plans, which we'll certainly be excited to see. Are those on the town website at all under like the ZBA documents?
Correct.
Okay. They're the ones that have a date of like September something, September 14th, September 28th, whatever, like whenever they posted them.
I believe so. Yeah. So they are, yes, September 8th is the landscape plan, September 13th is the civil plans. So, yeah.
Okay. Great. So I feel like on our committee, if we're going to be hearing from them the next time we meet, it might make sense for us to do a bit of a pre-review of those new plans that they've submitted. Cool. Okay. So the last thing that we'll cover as a committee before we open it up for public comment, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, I think, is our liaison assignments. And these are the assignments as they stood, I don't know, probably a few months ago, in terms of what other committee meetings we were going to go to and learn about items they were discussing that affect West Concord. So this is the way it's set up right now. I think we still need actually Nicole to take up some liaison assignments. Nicole, do you have any interest in doing like the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, for instance?
Would it be possible for me to wait until January to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
Only because I have a family situation going on with my mother, and it's taking up a lot more time than I would ever imagine, and I wouldn't be able to participate in the manner that I would like. But
Okay.
neutral would be wonderful.
Okay, that sounds good. I totally understand. And we'll have Anna coming on board for next month, so she could possibly do one of these committees. And then we do have a rotating schedule for the planning board. I'm going to pull that up real quick to show who said that they might be available on certain days. The planning board does not need to be attended if they're not talking about something related to West Concord. I would say of what I know of the planning board's agendas, the thing that's standing out to me is this meeting on the 14th of November, where they're going to be talking about that development at 1053 Main. It's kind of like what we heard from the developer about it last time we met. It's across from what's the complex? Why am I blanking on this? Concord Green. It's across from Concord Green. So that's on the radar. 768 Elm, that's the former paparazzi site. Technically not really contained within West Concord, but it might be interesting to hear about it, but I wouldn't say that it needs to be a priority for us to go to the planning board meeting for that. But it looks like we've made our availabilities known here. Nicole, do you think you're able to cover any planning board meetings? Or does your situation preclude that from happening too?
think
You
I
might have,
signed, I think I signed up for them after January.
oh,
Originally for the Google thing that, or the,
oh, okay. I guess I must have misunderstood. I might have thought that you were putting yourself down for like November and December as well.
I might have
Um,
done that. I apologize. So if that, I probably did do that because I didn't understand the scope of the situation that my mother is in.
Yeah,
So I
totally.
just, if I can get through at least January will look so much better.
Yeah,
And just hopefully will too.
okay,
I'm around to go to the one on the 14th.
okay. So
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna,
I am very, very sorry.
no, that's okay. These things happen.
Right, life happens.
Yeah. So the 24th, I don't know what's going to be happening on that day. I can probably say, well, actually, we need to, this one we probably don't need to go to. So I'm going to just take us off of this. No need to go. Let's see, I could probably do this one here. And would you be able to do either of these, the 28th of November or the 12th of December?
That's fine. That's totally fine.
Okay. Do you have a
They're both
preference
fine.
on which one? They're both fine?
Whatever
Okay.
you want, whatever works with you, I'll go do it.
Okay.
Whatever you want.
I'll put you down for these, and then we might have Anna or somebody else like swapping in because we'll have more folks to cover these in the future.
That's fine. I wrote it down. I can do them. They're good.
Okay. And I'll make sure you guys get a link to this so that you can be refreshed on what you signed up for and can put it on your calendars. Okay. I think, get back to our agenda. Here we go. No, this right here. Yes. So I think that ties us up for all of the official business that we wanted to cover. I can open it up for public comment right now. We have a few minutes left, and I'd love to hear from any members of the public or folks who are waiting to join our committee as well on any questions or updates or comments that you have. Anna, go ahead.
Thanks. I was wondering two things. I read the complete streets paperwork that was in your files. Are there other things that I should read to catch up? I mean, the complete streets seemed like it was what you were talking about a lot last time. That was one
Yeah.
question. My second question is, how do things end up on the agenda?
So I should, before the meeting, like a couple weeks before the meeting, ask you guys what you would like to talk about in for the agenda. And also I'm taking in developers or folks who are approaching us from other committees who want to appear in our agenda and trying to make sure that they can get heard if it's appropriate. So that is how you would suggest something to appear on the agenda. And I will be vigilant about getting us more organized so that you're polled, a couple weeks in advance about something being on the agenda, and we can mix it in with everything else that that needs to be on there. Does that make sense? Would that work? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what
Awesome.
about reading past things? Is there anything else that?
Yeah, so let's see. I'm trying to get to the correct place here. I would suggest, I would say any of these links here on our page are great places to go and catch up with what the committee has been doing in the recent past. Vision and planning, I'm thinking this is where our most recent document might lie. Okay, so this West Concord Junction Design Guidelines preamble is something that the committee worked on during COVID, and Anne and I collaborated on it a lot and got the input of other committee members at that time who have since rolled off. But it kind of like updates our vision for West Concord Junction to, I would say, update and refresh these design guidelines here. The West Concord design guidelines it's a long document. I think it's like 75 or 80 pages. And it was created before West Concord Junction became a cultural district. And the cultural district means that we're trying to create this vibrant arts community and really uplift the independent businesses and make it a destination, not only for folks who live in Concord, but also tourists. And so I think this preamble kind of characterizes where we are now in that journey. I'm going to take Nicole and then Sue.
Hi
Nicole?
there. Since I still feel like a newbie and I did not understand anything when I came in. And I realized there are 2 new people who might be coming in also, that it would be lovely if we can meet with somebody in the know and just do like a quick meeting and a quick understanding, because I had to dig into a lot of weeds that was a bit of a waste of time.
Yeah.
And so we could help newcomers understand what the goal, how we can serve the planning board, what the role of West Concord Advisory is in comparison to what the Concord Planning Board is, and all the other little things that we went over on the agenda. So I don't understand a lot of those things. I've been reading and whatnot, and I did a lot of meeting notes, and we're lucky that we're one of the people, one of the organizations that does do great meeting notes. But it'd just be great to have a refresher for people, or an in-person, informal, quick, go get them.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. And I think that would serve us very well. Let me think about that. And I'm even thinking about, like, should we have an in-person meeting at some point soon? I know that might be inconvenient for some, so maybe we'll talk about it next time, but that might help us to cover some of this ground as well. Okay, so I see a lot of hands now, so I'm going to go with Sue, Anne, Elizabeth, and Linda.
So can I just jump into that?
Oh, sure. Okay.
I'd be more than happy if one of the things we kind of did with the MBTA communities thing is either myself or senior planner Aaron Stevens, or more often the planning board chairman Linda Miller. We were holding the 1 hour just drop in MBTA community connections hour. I would be more than happy to find a morning if that works. We can meet at Neshoba Bakery or Tea Cakes or Dunkin's, and just sit for an hour, and people, committee members can ask me questions and get information, and so I'd be more than happy to set that up with any new member.
That sounds really wonderful. Would we have to do that one-on-one with you to avoid it being another meeting of WCAC? Like, do we run the risk of open meeting law on that?
It would have to be less than a quorum.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I think you are what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a 7-member board. So it would have to be
less than a quorum would be 3.
3 or fewer.
3 or fewer. Okay.
So, which I think Nicole and Anna's going to be on soon, and Barbara doesn't need any help, that's for sure.
Yeah. She's definitely seen a lot of committees.
So if either, if any, just send me an email, and if there's, I'll try and coordinate a time, and so long as it's 3 or fewer.
That sounds great. Yeah. So I'll see if I can set that up. Maybe just let me ask Nicole real quick, because she's the one who brought this up. Are you available to meet in person with Elizabeth at some point in the next couple of weeks, like before our next meeting? Do you think that would work for your schedule?
You should be able to, yes.
Okay, great. All right. So let's see. I've got Anne and then Linda. Anne, go ahead.
Oh, I just.
Oh, sorry. Sue, I didn't see you, like you took your hand down. Go ahead, because I know you were next.
But then I got confused. Anyway, so yes, I knew quorum would come up there. I recommend taking Elizabeth up on her offer. She is so knowledgeable. Susan already mentioned the charge. I would like to strongly recommend all committee members who haven't already, so, or prospective committee members, the design guidelines and the master plan in their entirety. They are long, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend bashing through them immediately. Read them as you have time. But I'm not just a member of the planning board. Way back in the dawn of time, I was a member of the West Concord Advisory Committee, and the initial goal of the committee was to execute the master plan and the design guidelines for the betterment of the area of West Concord that they cover. So, you know, committees change their role a little bit over time, but that's still a very substantial portion of it. But it is indeed a lot. And Elizabeth can really help you sort through some of the weeds and, of course, be the charge. Thank you.
Thanks for that recommendation. That's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go to Anne and then Linda. Anne, your hand is up. Do you still have something you wanted to say? All right, I'm going to skip Anne for now and go to Linda.
So I just wanted to vote for a meeting occasionally where we're all in person. Just building relationships for me is a lot easier when we're not all in these little boxes on Zoom. So if we can work that in, I know it's inconvenient, but for me, I'm willing to make that kind of investment because I think it makes a real difference.
Yeah, I agree. I'm thinking maybe in 2024, we start doing a schedule where we're occasionally in person. I feel like it might be hard to set it up for like the last 2 meetings going into the back part of the year with the holidays and stuff like that. But I feel like we can do it for 2024. So I'll put that on the agenda to talk about how we schedule that in 2024. And
So
I will go ahead.
My only thing to say is to strongly support an in-person meeting. That's a great idea. And I do have to go.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I think once Anne leaves, we're going to lose quorum. So I just want to make sure, is there any member of the public who wants to say anything before Anne drops off? Oh, Elizabeth.
The only thing I would want to throw out is maybe if this committee may want to talk with the West Concord Junction Cultural District about the two of you coming together and looking at different grant programs to hire somebody to update the West Concord design guidelines, which were done in 2011.
Yep.
It
that is a
definitely
great
would
idea.
take quite a bit of money, but there's so many grant programs out there that could possibly help with that.
I think that's great. That is a great suggestion. Let me reach out to them and see what we can do. Maybe we can put a joint meeting together or something like that to discuss it. Cool. Okay. The one last thing I wanted to ask is, I think in a couple of weeks, there's a session coming up at the library for committees and committee leaders. And I was wondering, Elizabeth, is that for folks who are members of committees, or is it for individuals who only like are chairs of committees? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
It is, let's see, I put it on my little cheat sheet here.
Do you mean the governance?
Effective governance?
Yes, the effective governance workshop.
I believe that's something that the town clerk puts on.
Okay.
It's for anyone who wants to register and go.
Oh, so anyone, even like if you're a committee member, you can be there too. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. This is something that like I would advocate if you're able to make it to it. I know I'm planning on going because I think it's going to help me be a better community volunteer in general, but also for assistance in better leading these meetings and making sure that I can get tips and tricks from folks who have been doing this for a long time. So something to keep in mind that this is being offered totally free.
When's the
so,
date?
Oh, it is the 15th of October from 1 to 3 at the main library in Concord. It doesn't look like you have to register. It seems like you would just show up. All right, so I know Anne's got to go, so I'm gonna motion that we adjourn the meeting. I think we need a second, and then we'll take a roll call vote, and then you can get on with
Second.
your evening. Great. Okay, so let's see. Nicole, do you vote to adjourn?
I vote.
Barbara, do you vote to adjourn?
Yes.
And do you vote to adjourn?
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, and I vote to adjourn as well. So we're adjourned at 8:03, our shortest meeting in a long time. So everyone, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Yay! And thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. And I'll be reaching out, following up on all the items we talked about today.